Let's do this. Get ready for the Dirt Life Show.
Yeah. Episode 15 of the Dirt Life Show. We are so stoked to have all you guys here tonight. Sorry for the late start. We had a couple technical difficulties. Can't seem to ever figure them out. I don't know what the deal is with me, but one of these days we'll figure it out. We have an awesome show for you guys tonight. We have Aaron Baker coming on. Aaron Baker is just one of the guys that I look up to. He's just a badass all around. He broke his back in a dirt bike accident, very similar to the way that I did. Or, excuse me, he broke his neck, but very similar to the same story that I have, but he's done quite a bit more than I have. He's an all-around awesome dude. He literally rode a bicycle all the way across the country. He has walked across Death Valley. He pushed in a cart, and all of this was after his neck injury or spinal cord injury. So he's got some serious motivation and drive, and that's one of the things that we were talking about before the show. So welcome, Casey. It's good to see you, man.
Yep, same here. Glad to be here.
So you had a pretty interesting last weekend, huh?
Yeah, we had fun. We had the El Tour de Tucson this weekend. It's like the 40th one or something.
Really? It's been going on for that long?
It's going on a long time. I don't know that I have that number right, but it's up there. And we chose to do the 50. And
so let's tell everybody about the El Tour de Tucson. El Tour de Tucson is a big bicycle race in southern Arizona, in Tucson, Arizona. But it gets attention from all over, well, the United States, obviously. But I even know some dudes that did it from Australia, from Canada. It's a pretty big,
all over the world. Yep,
it's a pretty big deal. Yeah, just not to discount what you did, but I did 9.8 miles, and I did El Tour de Tacos.
That was probably a little more fun.
I waited till after everybody was done because we were talking about it earlier too. Like they have a new route that goes around Tucson, but it comes right by the house out here, way out in the country. So it's pretty cool to see that. But yeah, like you said, so they have 50 miles.
Yeah, I think they have a fun ride for 8 or something like that.
Like a kid ride or something.
I think there's still a 25. Then there's a 50. And the 100. There used to be a 75 or something in there, and there's just too many. So they cleaned it up to get it.
Yeah, to get it so there's less of them.
Right. The only problem is now you've got some people that maybe rode 25 miles their whole year, and they're like, I can do the 50.
Oh, so there's some 50 milers that aren't going very good.
Yeah, it was stressful at times for sure.
Well, not to take anything away from those people that completed it, because it's just straight up awesome when people complete those races.
Absolutely.
But there are people with certain mentalities that go out there and they want to do good no matter what distance they do. So that was one of the cool things that I guess we could talk about a little bit too, about like motivation and stuff. Like after I broke my back, I wanted to do that race. So I had to train for a few years to be able to do the 100-mile race. And at that time it was 107 miles, and I don't know what it is now. Probably still somewhere.
It's right in there. Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty big task.
Absolutely.
And, for the way that I would put it in perspective, and like I said, by no means does this have anything to do with anybody except for myself, but I always compared myself to an able-bodied person. Mm-hmm. So somebody that would just be working at a normal computer or construction job or something like that. And I told myself, if I want to do the Tour de Tucson, it's going to take me 2 years, 3 years to be able to train, to be able to get my body up into enough physical conditioning to get around 100 miles of bicycle riding.
Right.
And for a lot of people, it's similar to that, but with an able body, you probably cut down that time by maybe 60% or so. So they can train for a year and they can, get around to doing it and being able to complete it. And for me, my motivation wasn't to go out there and win or to do anything like that. It was just to complete the race,
right.
Just to have a good time and see how quickly I could do it. At the time, I was going quite a bit faster than the speeds that I go now, but it took me, I wanted to do it 100 miles in less than 8 hours, which for me was a significant thing to do.
Sure.
And for you guys, I think you guys are more probably around the 5 hour mark or something.
That's what we would be gaining for or be aiming for, and we chose not to because our group leading up to a couple of sicknesses and injuries and whatever, and we just thought, you know what, let's just calm down and do the 50, and we'll try to do the 50.
But it still gives you motivation to do it next year. And
right,
that's kind of where I'm going with this is the motivation portion of it. Like, the winner this year I think did it in just under 4 hours, like 3 hours and let's just say 58 minutes or something. And a woman did it very close to that in low fours. Like, that's crazy to be able to do that. And those people are training their whole lives, but that's their motivation.
Right.
That's their motivation, is to go out there and kick ass doing these races.
Right.
My motivation was just to complete it. And I was able to complete it, I think, in 6.5 hours or something in that neighborhood, which blew my mind.
That's great.
But it's different for a motivation that you would have, because you told me that a few weeks ago that your motivation would be to do that race in what's called platinum status, and that's in under a certain amount of hours?
Yeah, under 5, I think.
So, okay, so the 5-hour mark is where you would want to be at then. So what would you have to do to be able to get to that point?
Yeah, so just like you said, you got to get that mindset and say, okay, this is what we're doing. So you set that goal, and then for us, I mean, we ride a bunch, but what we would be wanting to do is be doing those distances, working your way up to that distance, probably starting around September. The race is in November, obviously. So you need to be, in the summer and.
But you already have a baseline, though. So
right.
You already have a baseline that you can go 50 miles.
Right, no problem. It's just now it's like, okay, let's do 50 at 23 miles an hour.
How about somebody that's just starting off, that's never even gone, maybe they just ride their bicycle in the park?
Yeah, so that's a hard one. It's just like you're saying, where you put your mind to it. And the crazy thing is, like, we all rode bikes when we were little kids, right? Everybody starts that. But just because you did that doesn't mean you can go buy the $1,000,000, best bike at the shop.
The carbon fiber one that's all easy to ride.
Exactly, and go do platinum, this year. That's not happening. I mean, some people put 10 years into their riding before they have the bike handling skills and the knowledge of the fitness. I mean, the fitness and the knowledge, but of the nutrition, like we talked a couple weeks ago. Same idea. So I really think if someone were starting over, it wouldn't be unheard of to say, okay, I'm brand new at this. I want to do that. Platinum. That's probably a 2-year goal, I would say.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at is where I'd like to go. Let's keep this conversation going, but before I forget, let's thank our sponsors real quick and tell everybody how to connect. So first of all, I want to say thank you again. I really, really appreciate everybody coming on the show and watching us and just having a good time with us. It's really meaningful to me to see the show grow. Like, I love being able to see the show grow. I love having everybody join us, giving us comments, just hanging out. Like, it's so cool to be able to have everybody on board with us, and it's making a big deal in the sponsors that we get, and it's just really helping all in general. And I'd like to see if everybody could help the show grow. I want to have everybody go on social media, share the show, have fun with us, comment, like, do all the different things that you would normally do to help somebody grow. I think it's amazing that we have these sponsors that are still on board with us. A lot of them came over because of our racing and our relationships and things like that. But it's cool to get their feedback and to understand what they want in marketing for their businesses and stuff. And we have some really, really cool shows coming up. So we want to thank the guys at Rigid Industries. We want to thank Fuel Wheels. We want to thank Solderweld. We want to thank Zollinger Racing Products. We're doing some cool stuff with those guys. And coming up in, I think it's about 2 weeks, we're going to change the show from Monday to a Friday. So Friday, December 6th. And we're going to go up to Shock Therapy. And we're going to do the show from their warehouse. And we're going to have, it's going to be really cool. We're going to start we'll call it a party. So it'll be the Shock Therapy Dirt Life Show party and live show. And what we're going to do is around 5 to 7 o'clock. We're going to have beer and whatever food, probably tacos. I got to look for some catering places up there in Phoenix. So that's going to be really cool. And when everybody has a couple of beers in them on the Friday night, then we get to have a show at 7. So
look out.
Yeah, so we want everybody to come out and start yelling and screaming and having a good time with us. I think it's going to be pretty rad. So I think that's a cool little evolution in the Dirt Life show. I think it's showing how we can grow, how we can scale with our sponsors, and just have a good time. So we definitely want to thank those Shock Therapy guys for having some fun with us, and we'll get to talk to them about their Baja 1000 too. So
I bet there's some amazing stories.
Dude, just going down there to pre-run would be cool. So connect with us. hit us up on Messenger and stuff, and we'll give you information about the shock therapy show, and you guys can come out and check it out with us. That's just going to be a really good time. Plus, who doesn't like beer and tacos? So, yeah. So to get back into the motivation stuff, what I was trying to see if we could understand a little bit more is, what motivates you pretty well. You're a self-driven person, and I am as well. But how do you get somebody, like, let's just say they want to do the Tour de Tucson, or they just want to lose weight, or they're motivated to be a better person in general. Maybe they were, negative in a past relationship or something like that, and they want to change, they want to be more positive. What do you do to help them to understand what it takes? Like you said, maybe it's a 2-year goal from getting off the couch to being able to ride 50 or 100 miles on your bicycle. So what's the first step? Do you write down in a book that you want to accomplish these goals, and then you figure it out, like, line by line, how you're gonna, in my terms, eat the elephant one bite at a time? Like, what
Right.
would you do?
Yeah, it's tough. Everybody's motivated by different things, right?
Well, everybody's motivated
Obviously.
by money and tacos,
And
but
tacos for sure. But I don't know. For me, I'll be the first one to tell you. I'm sure my wife would agree. Probably coworkers too. I'm not the most organized guy, and that's hard for me because I almost end up putting too much effort. In my mind, I'm putting too much effort because I can already see it all.
right in your head.
Yeah, and that's bad because, like, in my job, I have to help people be organized, and I'm not the best organized guy, so that's not good. So
Oh, you're talking about you're organized in your head, but it's hard for you to describe or to lay out the organization for
Right.
somebody else.
It's almost like I can see it. Just my brain works so fast. Just
Right.
being Mr. ADD, I guess. I just can see the steps, and
Yeah.
then in my mind, it's like it's a waste to get it put down.
So you can already see the end process. It makes sense.
But I don't know that that's the best way because not everybody can see what's in your head, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I totally understand exactly what you're saying, but it's difficult to be able to have that mentality. Like when you see the goal at the end of the road, like
list of you have this giant schedule that you've been successful with, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably someone that, like, I envy someone that can be that organized, because when you start to get down, the chips are down, you remember all the things that you've done because you've meticulously gone through the steps.
Through each one.
Yeah, exactly. Where for me, I'm like, oh man, we're just not going to do the 100 this year because everybody's sick.
So do you think making goals like so you don't just have to make a goal in general to achieve it, but maybe take notes along the way of like what you failed and what you did well? Because
absolutely.
If you're jotting it down, then you could maybe help yourself.
Right, and you definitely need to be fluid. I hate using that word. That seems to be the new buzzword. But,
no, I think that's really good.
But you need to, because things happen. We'll take our journey up to this event. A lot of our guys got sick.
Up to the event, the Tour de Tucson?
Yeah. Guys got sick, and I got sick, and, life gets in the way, whatever. But what is it that you say, okay, forget all that, I'm still going to do what I had already, planned out in all the steps. I'm not saying that it's a failure in my mind, but it seems like it's a lot easier to not fail if you've methodically gone through all this.
Yeah, when you're setting little milestones and benchmarks for yourself. So for some of you that have just joined, we're kind of talking about some of the motivation things that drive people in general. And it's really actually cool to hear your story, because what you're telling me, just on this one event, you've done a lot of this, even when you had your professional motocross career. It's different. Like, it's different than the way that I would approach it. Like, I have that same ADD personality that you were talking about with, I can see it. I can see the goal, but maybe my ADD is different because I forget a lot of shit along the way. So that
Right.
organization and writing it down has to happen for me. Like, I can't get away with not doing it because I'll miss steps along the way.
Sure.
So I'll miss it, or if I do miss it, then I have to go back and do it again. So like, let's just say I missed it one week, I'd be like, shit, I got to do it again. Like, so I have to do it twice the next
Double
week
up.
or so. Yeah.
Right.
So it's kind of weird, but getting off the couch is one thing, and having motivation to get off the couch, I feel like, is the hardest part for most people.
Right.
There's some examples that I've seen people in computer jobs, especially, like one of the guys that I saw in a previous computer job that I had, I was working for a software development company, and we were all software engineers, and one of the guys wanted to get in shape. He was a little overweight, and he wanted to get in shape, and his goal was clearly just to lose weight. Nice and simple, right? Well, what was he going to do? He was going to start riding his bike on the river walk, which is kind of like a little boardwalk, sidewalk path. Mm-hmm. And he started doing it. He was having a lot of trouble. He was ready to give up, but he didn't. He just consistently did it enough to where he wasn't burning himself out. He was still, I don't want to say not eating right, but he was still eating what he wanted to. Mm-hmm. He didn't he didn't just force himself to do all this massive life changes, right? He worked his way into it, and that was successful for him. And I thought it was a good way to do it. Like,
right.
For most people, you can't just say, I'm going to go ride the Tour de Tucson and this is my end goal. If you're going to ride 100 miles around any city in any state, even if it's all flat, it's still going to take a lot of work.
Right. Yeah. Everything that goes along with it. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I'm laying my cards out on the table saying, I can't do that. I'm not good at doing that.
Yeah.
I'm more of, okay, let's set a goal, but it's not going to be so specific, which is funny because I'm a major detail guy. I always get caught up in the details, where a lot of times you just need to have the 747 view of this goal. So maybe, like for me, I need to say, okay, I'm doing 100 miles, 50 miles, whatever. It'd be nice to do it in X amount of time. If I do that, great, I succeeded. If I don't, well, I'll take note to do it better next year. And that's kind of a little more of a seat of the pants kind of a way to take it.
But a lot of people have that same mentality, though.
But everybody's different.
Right.
And I think, when we talk, can you imagine deciding to walk across the desert?
I still don't know how
Death
Aaron
Valley?
decided to do that.
That's amazing. But
walking across Death Valley is like literally a death wish.
Totally. So imagine what had to fill in those lines. I'm sure this guy's probably pretty pretty specific about it because, okay, so you walk how many miles and then you're out of water?
Yeah.
It's called Death Valley.
He pushed a cart, like he had all his supplies in. He had
Right.
a film crew with him, and he had emergency backup and stuff, so he was safe. But
Sure. But you know what I'm saying, and it can be applied to all kinds of things. Like we talked earlier, the business meeting,
we should talk about that a little
doctor.
bit. Yeah, like so if you're nervous to go into a business meeting, what's the motivation? Like, let's just say you have only like a very small amount of time or a small window to prep for it. Let's just say you got to go into a business meeting and you're wanting to get a promotion in a week, and you have to ace this meeting to be able to show your boss that you're doing well. Clearly, most people will get nervous in a situation like that. It's very stressful. Maybe they want to excel because they're going to get married in the next portion of their life, and they need to make more money. And there's all these big things that come in and collapse on this one meeting, right?
Right.
And so what's the motivation? The motivation is to succeed at this meeting. But how do you go about doing it? How are you going to perform at the meeting? You got to stay calm. You have to prepare for it. Maybe you have to stay up all week, and then on the last day you get rest, so you're nice and rested for it. And you have to study on all these topics and do these certain things. It's the same basic concept as what you're saying to ride 100 miles in a year.
Right.
So I think it really, really makes a big difference. And I always tell kids when we talk to them, we do motivational speeches and stuff, that anytime you want to do something, the best thing that I've ever done is something that Joe Rogan said. If you're going to be the star of your own movie, how would you act in that movie? So the star of your movie has to be this glorious person, right? Like, the movies are cool, right? The movies are better than real life. So if you're going to be the star of your own movie, how do you have to be? You have to be better than your current self. And so it makes a big difference when you look at it like that, because let's just say you want to be the star of your own movie, and the star of your own movie is an astronaut or a firefighter or a plane captain or anything like that. You have to be the star of your own movie, and you have to grow the whole thing to be that star, right? You don't just all of a sudden be a star astronaut by jumping in a spaceship, because you'll die.
Right. I also think that's where some people, this doesn't work for me. I'm some people when I'm saying this, is if it's too specific, which again is funny because I'm a detail person. If it's too specific and you don't meet that specific, it's demotivating, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah. And I see where you're going with the too specific, like the little milestones are being specific, but
right.
You're not giving yourself enough credit, because you have a very specific drive. Like,
well,
you
have
know,
to. What I'm getting at is, I think that what seems to work for me is that, okay, we know these milestones that we need to hit them, but maybe we have to know that we're on the right track when we hit the 7th one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe the first through 6 were horrible and they were behind schedule and terrible, but all of a sudden, right. But now when you get to halfway or 7 or 8 or whatever
caught
it is,
up.
Yeah, now it's like, hey, we're on track, and it seems to be it's almost like this organized chaos, which isn't good, but
that's a really good point, though, because that's like, don't get demotivated during the process. Give yourself leeway to make mistakes.
Right. So I think sometimes it's better. Let's go back to the guy or gal or whatever that decides, hey, I want to start getting healthy, whatever that means. Well, maybe it just means that you have to develop the habit of getting up and doing this at 10 o'clock p.m., a.m., whatever.
Right.
Maybe that's it. And then maybe the success comes from, okay, I did that. And now I'm at the point where I'm already doing this. I'm starting to see, I feel better. I'm doing exactly what I was hoping I was doing. Just didn't know exactly what it looked like.
Exactly.
And that's kind of contradictory, but then you go, okay, I can do this because I just need to make it a habit.
That's almost exactly what Tiffany's saying, is just stay the course.
Right.
Yeah, so if you stay the course, even if the course switches and turns different ways, but you're still on the same, you're still going to achieve that goal.
Sure.
That's a really good point, because now that I think about it, like when I was trying to do all these different things like the Ironman and stuff, I had no clue what I was doing. So and I'm writing it down. I think I have this perfect list to be the Ironman, right? To do this one goal.
Right.
I had no clue that all these things were going to pop up in front of me. I didn't know that I was going to be super shitty at swimming. I didn't know that it was going to take so long.
Right.
Like, I didn't know that all these things were going to happen in the medium to get to those goals. But you're so right when you say maybe at the 7th goal or the 7th week mark or whatever it is, like, you can catch up, because I don't know if I really ever caught up, because I think I was still underprepared when I went.
Sure.
But I was close,
Right.
and I still got to do it, and I still achieved the goal.
Right.
But I made so many adjustments, like what you said. So maybe I do have a more similar mindset to what you're talking about than I think.
And then I think where it really has to happen is when you become the senior at whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we raced moto forever. I raced RC cars forever.
And now we can talk about it with a little bit of maturity.
And now you get to that point where you just lived it, and now you learned, and you don't really realize it until you're helping a newbie.
That's true.
And you're like, whoa, how do you not know this stuff? You know, it's like second nature. And they're like, well, just like you. You're like, oh, I'm going to do a triathlon, an Ironman. What do you mean I have to swim? Oh, I need to figure out how to swim, right? You know, these same guys when they were brand new at, you know.
And I asked the professionals, and they helped me.
Right, exactly. So I guess what we're saying, we're kind of talking in circles, but everybody's motivated differently, but I still think the success comes from you have to learn along the way, and you have to have some kind of, even if it's a blurry vision of where you're going to go.
Yeah.
You have to have that. Those seem to be the very...
So for the smallest example that we have, if you're a human being that just wants to lose weight, just vision yourself skinny.
Right. Sounds easy, right?
Well, yeah, but if you have that vision and you never lose it, then the stuff that happens along the way will be a lot easier.
Sure. Or maybe it's just the habit of, I'm Taco Tuesday for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to Taco Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Exactly.
Right. You know what I mean? Maybe
so you can
maybe
make
that's
a difference.
maybe that's the blurry look at it. Okay, I'm just going to focus on this, and then everything else is...
That's what my goals should be. That would be a huge motivation for me. Or tacos after every bicycle ride.
That's what I try to do. That's why I do it.
Yep, exactly. So you ride 100 miles every year and do all this training just so you can eat tacos.
Well, the bad thing is it's kind of a funny joke, but oh, where are we at? Oh, I did an extra 5,000 calories.
Yep.
That means I can supersize this afternoon.
So and that's one of the things that we're going to talk. Like, we're talking about motivation and the way that you get to these certain goals in your life. And for me, it's been like a constant constructive motivation because I've been forced to do it. Forced to get over things like injuries and things like that. I wasn't forced to do an Ironman. It was something that I wanted to do. But the mindset that everybody has to have, and that's the reason that we have this cool picture up, is because the mindset that our featured guest Aaron Baker has, in my mind, in the way that I think of him, is he's already like light years ahead in the way that he sees himself and what he wants to do, right? Mm-hmm. He's a fantastic human being in general. He's an advocate for spinal cord injuries. He helps with what's now called the Red Bull Wings for Life, which is they bought the Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation. And for those people who don't know what foundation that is, it's Christopher Reeves was in a bad accident. He broke his neck, and he's an advocate for spinal cord injuries. And he was, looking for a cure for the spinal cord injuries. And now Red Bull owns that company, and it's called Wings for Life.
That's been a big deal for a long time, actually.
Yeah, it really has.
Yeah.
And they've made leaps and bounds in trying to help people. Mm-hmm. And their motto is, we will find a cure for spinal cord injuries. Who knows when it's going to happen, but he's a big advocate for them. And his mindset has taught me a lot, because his mindset is not just never give up, which I always claim never give up, but he's always moving forward. And when I say he's moving forward, he literally is. Like, he called me earlier today and said, you know what? I'm at the shop working on my bike. Just call me and we'll FaceTime, because he's got this badass trike that they built for him, and he Velcros his hands on the handlebars so he can twist the throttle and, play with the clutch. I don't know he can show us more about it, but who thinks of cool stuff like that? That's awesome. Like, so his mindset is something that I would like to grow my mindset into, you know? And I think a lot of able-bodied people should have that same outlook, is like, what's normal to him isn't even on the map for us.
Right.
So it's so cool to see that. It gives you like a super different creative mindset. And
definitely.
I can't wait to talk to him about it and see what he has to say. And it would be cool, like, how did, people invent electricity. Was Einstein that invented electricity or the light bulb or whatever it was? But that mindset is kind of the same.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. So
Right.
I don't think that there's hardly any of us out now that have that same creative mindset. Like, it would be really cool if we could all change and be a little bit more free and creative like that.
Well, I feel like sometimes I would say in my professional career in work, I seem to do my best work when I'm backed against a corner, which is not where I want to be, because I don't like to be stressed. I can handle it, but at the same time, it's like I almost need the problem so I can fix it.
Yeah, because you're forced to be able to do it, yeah.
Right, and I think maybe the motivation to get up off the couch isn't really there sometimes because I don't have to.
Yeah,
whereas
complacent.
Right, whereas you're injured and you're like, I've already set this goal, but I got injured. I'm still going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of commonalities there.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Like, when people always come up with good shit when they're backed into a corner, but it's that fight or flight thing.
Right.
And the motivation obviously comes from different places and things like that. But I definitely want to see where his motivation is. Since it's 7:40 already, I think we're about 10 minutes behind talking to him anyway. So let's take a commercial break, and we'll come back, and we will talk to our guest, Aaron Baker. Can't wait. We'll see you guys in just a minute.
For wheels and tires with the most style, function, and innovation, look no further than Fuel Off-Road. From stock to lifted, dually to trophy truck, and UTV applications, Fuel Off-Road offers the most complete lineup for your next adventure. Whether a weekend warrior or racer, you can't go wrong with Fuel's massive line of trail tough truck and UTV wheels and tires. Good looks, better prices, and the absolute best range of styles and applications. Find us at fueloffroad.com.
Introducing Rigid's new SRL Series light bar, featuring a sleek 20-inch curved housing, ultra-wide forward projecting beam pattern, and a unique halo backlight feature offered in 4 color options. The SRL Series light bar's new optic combination projects light over 70 degrees wide, with more than enough distance to safely drive in low visibility conditions, making it the perfect lighting solution for most applications. The Halo backlight feature is offered in red, white, blue, or amber, and is wired independently from the forward projecting light. Instantly transition from style to function with the flip of a switch, making it easier than ever to own the night.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Solder Weld. Who is Solder Weld, and what is their impact on the off-road community? Well, some of you may have seen Solder Weld's booths at the races, Lint 400, Vegas to Reno, Score and Snore events, and the UTV World Championship. You're seeing their stickers and sponsor wraps on more and more racers' vehicles every year. But who are they, and what do they have to offer us as off-road enthusiasts? Well, late last year, Solder Weld introduced their new off-road repair kit to the off-road industry and sold out their first week. The interest was overwhelming, as many off-roaders already knew of Solder Weld's aluminum radiator repair rods, and now they were included in a convenient carry kit in camo or black. If you're a racer of any type or off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product. Solder Weld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped into your roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or a brake line? We've literally seen a top-tier desert race truck at the 2019 Mint 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they would have had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just a minute. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. Solder Weld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredible high tensile strength, leaving you with a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy who broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today. Your friends will thank you. Yeah, we are back. We got our buddy Aaron Baker. What's up, dude? How are you?
What's up, fellas? Secret location. Little place I like to work on motorcycles.
A secret location with the American flag and what is that, a moose in the background? And you and I have talked a few times, and we were talking about motivation and mindset and stuff like that a little bit earlier. And honestly, dude, you're at the top of my list when it comes to motivation and mindset, because some of the things that you have done in your life, even post-injury, have just not just amazed me, but they've amazed a lot of other people. And not just by the things that you've accomplished for yourself, but some things that you've done for other people. So kudos to you first and foremost.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
No problem. Well, let's get started by giving people a little bit of info. Like, you're from Southern California, right?
Originally from Central Cal, Monterey Bay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, grew up in actually Carmel, California. Cool little eclectic town, more of an artist community. I was always trying to leave because I wanted to race my dirt bike. So
they didn't have too much dirt bike riding up there?
Not in Carmel proper, but I would go over the hill into the Salinas Valley. And I had a couple of tracks in the broccoli fields, out in the artichoke and strawberry fields.
Sweet.
Had a supercross track, motocross track. And Hollister Hills was my home track.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
How was that place? I never got to go there.
Oh, chocolate cake. When that place was groomed right, that place was, it was an old Fox ad. It said Dream On with Robbie Reynard.
Remember that?
And it was shot right there. Yeah, big poster. I had it in my room. But, yeah, that was a dream track.
I don't know.
Hollister Hills, the GP.
Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce you guys, Casey and Aaron and Casey.
How's it going, Aaron?
So Casey actually was a little bit ahead of me in the dirt bike racing stuff, and he basically taught me how to ride and taught me how to go fast and things like that. So he knows all about the dirt bike racing stuff. Did you see that track? Do you know about that track?
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. I never got to go. Always wanted to. Always heard about Hollister. Always heard it was super cool. Remember when the Golden States would happen, and we had Golden States and Transcals, and you would get north and south, or maybe that was a GFI stuff. Do you remember that?
You get the north guys against the south
GFI.
guys.
Yeah, GFI stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so it seems to me maybe Pat. What was Pat's last name?
McMullen?
Nope. He was a NorCal guy. He was P1. Remember him?
No.
Help me out. Anyways, I remember talking to all those guys when we get together, and it was always talking about Hollister, how cool it was. And I
You remember Jeff Pastana?
Yes,
Jeff
that
Pastana,
definitely sounds familiar.
Rusty Holland.
Yes, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Definitely. You know the guys. They're blanking right now. I'm sure of it. Man, what the heck was Pat?
That's awesome, though.
Alan Volin, Tyson Volin, all those guys.
Right.
Dang, so you grew up with
Tyler
some heavy
Evans.
hitters then.
Yeah, all those guys, Central California guys. But we were always coming south to race with the fast guys.
Right. We did the same thing.
No.
It's funny. Tucson's similar.
Yeah.
We had one track, and when we were lucky, there was one moto track, and we were kind of all over the place trying to ride too. So we know the feeling. You got to go somewhere to go fast.
Yeah, we were always traveling to Southern California too, like to get in with all those guys. When did you really start getting into the motocross thing? Where you're like, oh man, I could probably do something with this, because you made it really far.
Well, I started. I mean, shoot, my grandfather and my dad, basically Santa Claus, bought me a Pee Wee 50 when I was 3 years old, and I learned to ride that thing on training wheels before I even ride a bicycle. So I started racing flat track really young. Raced all around, I guess, the West Coast on a Pee Wee with that flat track scene, and then I went to the Cow Palace up in San Francisco for an arena cross as a spectator, and I saw those guys ripping. I'm like, Dad, I want to race this. Forget flat track. And so I think I was about 12 years old. Started racing 80s, 80 beginner, 80 junior, 80 intermediate, and then once I got on big bikes, it went quick. I went to all the amateur nationals. We won Ponca and Loretta. I did well in Mammoth, Minios, Vegas, all of them.
Yeah, so for some people in our audience that don't know about that stuff, that's a pretty big accomplishment in itself. So,
No doubt.
So his dirt life started when he was pretty young, and then he was able to go to it's basically the national championships kind of thing, where you're at a national level and you're battling against all of the best in the business at your age group and things like that. And Aaron was able to win, which is something that unfortunately neither of us got to be able to do. So when I say he achieved got very far in his career is really true, man. That's awesome, because very few people get to do that.
Right, for sure.
What was the catalyst to you getting into all that stuff? Did your parents get you into the dirt life?
My mom was actually the one that rode dirt bikes with her family.
No way, really?
Out in my mom ripped. She would always take her friends out, and they would end up getting hurt, but she would outride everybody. She outrode my dad. My dad was a chump on a motorcycle.
Dude, I'm going to have to take that audio clip out. My mom rips.
She does. Or she did. And actually it was funny. Once I got the dirt bike, the thing, the roles reversed. All of a sudden she was worried for me. She didn't want me riding. So that's why she raised us in Carmel. She put a guitar in my hands. She, got me into music and surfing and skating and all these other things, traveling.
And so
she wanted me to do
your favorite was
everything
the dirt bikes?
except race.
Oh, really?
What's that?
Your favorite was the dirt life, the dirt bikes?
She was the original dirt life, and then the roles reversed once I became hooked.
That's actually pretty cool to hear that, because most of the time you're like, yeah, Dad had an ATC, and then he got me into a dirt bike. And
my mom rips.
I love it.
No.
Awesome.
Well, I'm going to take out that
mom in the beginning.
I'm going to take out that clip, and we're going to put a picture of you just saying, my mom rips, and puts it on social.
Nice.
That'll be pretty sweet, man. Well, you're doing some pretty fun stuff nowadays. Obviously, you're at the shop, and I would love to see some of the stuff that you got going there, if you wouldn't mind showing us. But let's kind of lead up to that. Let's start telling people.
Sure.
So you obviously lived the dirt life for a long time. You achieved some pretty cool stuff. But what happened when you got injured?
Basically, I was training for the outdoors. Supercross was wrapping up in 1999. I just turned professional late in the season, 98. And I was testing it was basically a Supercross setup that I needed to shake down for outdoors. And I was riding for the satellite team, Stiffy Suzuki.
I remember
at
those
the
guys.
time. Yeah. Yeah. And the bike basically seized, like third gear wide open, right at the transition of a big step up.
What
And it
track
just
was
bucked
that
me over
at?
the bar. It was the old Honda test track out in Simi Valley.
Oh, okay. So in
Actually, it looked, Roxon's crash in
yeah,
Anaheim where he went over the bars, broke his arms.
yeah.
That's what it looked like.
So
Just like that.
you left the motorcycle about 3/4 of the way through the jump,
Yep.
and then
Just rolling up the windows, and the downside of the jump was really long and steep, and I kept over rotating, and my arms didn't break my fall. It just right to my head.
so when you landed,
And compressed.
you landed on your head as like a compression fracture or
Yeah,
a
it
twist
just-
fracture.
No, it compressed my chin into my chest and broke 3 vertebrae in my neck.
Okay. So at that time, when you broke your neck, you were obviously classified as a quadriplegic. But what was the? I mean, talking to me, I already understand a lot of this stuff. But to our audience, tell them a little bit of the things that happened to you, because I know that one of the things that you had said was, "Shit, like I can only I can't see anything. I just see a rock. Like I can't do anything. I just see a rock."
Yeah, I mean, basically what happens with paralysis or a spinal cord injury, it's like flipping the light switch on the wall. Like all the electricity, all the impulses to the body are just immediately shut off. So I was motionless. I remember the sound
so
my neck
gnarly,
made when
man.
it broke. And I just laid there on my right side, and my hand was in front of my face, and there was a rock next to my hand. And I was motionless, just like that stone. If nobody was there, if nobody ran to my aid, then I would just lay there. I would lay there and die.
That's so heavy though. Like, and that goes back to the motivation stuff that you and I were talking about before. Like, when you're put in a situation like that, like you said, when you don't have, like, you're backed up against the wall, what do you do? And so it's clear that, like, in a situation like that, he probably doesn't know yet that he's backed up against the wall and what he's going to do. But what were your thoughts, Aaron, like during that time when you were laying there?
I mean, I was basically in shock, just trying to keep a breath in my body because, everything was paralyzed. I was barely breathing. And I just knew the gravity of the situation. I knew how bad it was. And so when the paramedics came, a helicopter was called. I just instinctively instructed them not to take my helmet off. I knew that it would make shit worse. I told them I knew my neck was broken, and so they stabilized me and got me to the hospital pretty quick.
And then what happened in the hospital? You went through surgeries and stuff, I'm assuming?
Yeah, they rushed me into surgery. They fused my neck with a titanium plate and screws, put me on a ventilator, and I woke 2 days later to the prognosis that I had a 1 in a million chance of ever feeding myself.
That's just insane, man. And I have those. I clearly didn't break my neck. I broke my lower back, but I have those same type of emotions. Like, I kind of want to cry right now. It's so heavy to feel those things when it does happen. Now, we were talking a little bit before on the show about motivation and being stuck in situations and things like that. Did you have initial feelings like some people would have feelings like, let's just say, why me, or fuck this, I'm doing it, like I'm better than this? Like, what kind of emotions went through you that define you and define the path that you were about to go on?
Well, there was never a moment of why me. I never asked that question because life happens, I've crashed harder than that before and broken bones. And I never asked that question. Obviously a flood of emotions. It's a hell of a roller coaster. It still is. A lot of tears. sadness.
Did
fear.
you have a good support system around you at the time?
Yeah, my mother was immensely supportive for a lot of years. My dad came in from Arizona. My mom lived in Oklahoma at the time. Everybody kind of came together.
His mom probably ripped over from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
What?
Your mom probably ripped over from Oklahoma.
Yeah. Packed a toothbrush and a pair of underwears, and that was it.
That's awesome. Having the good support system is huge for sure.
It makes all the difference, fellas. Like, that kind of love and support is the only light in a really dark place.
Well, maybe you can expand on that a little bit more because, again, we were talking about motivation and mindset before, and you just said a really dark place, and there's clearly different things that happen to different people. They can be in a really dark place, like we talked about before, because they have a work meeting or they just got to have a bad relationship or something like that. But when you were in that dark place, what was the mindset that you gave yourself to be able to get out of it? Like, where did you see your end goal? Was your end goal like, shoot, I'm going to start walking again? Like, how am I going to get myself to a position where I'm happy? Like, what was your mindset?
I mean, obviously I wanted to recover. But when you're in that dark of a place, there is no goal. There is no, like, long-term sight. It's very short-sighted. It's very black. And I was ready to end it a few times along the way. But the first time specifically, I sat at the edge of a swimming pool ready to tip in, and I sink like a rock. That would have done it.
What got you out of that?
Something just, I backed away from the edge and decided to keep moving forward, I guess. I went back and I got a hug from my mother. I got a hug from my sister, and my dad was there, and decided to give it another day. And that was it. Basically, literally day by day.
Yep.
Hour by hour.
We say that
I poured all my.
We say that day by day stuff a lot when you're injured. We heard the same thing with Mike Young from Road to Recovery. We had him on the show, and he said that he takes it every day the same way too. He goes to sleep saying, tomorrow's going to be awesome, but when he wakes up, he's still paralyzed. Like it's just one of those things that you have to deal with. But when we think about it, probably Aaron can agree with this, is that everybody wakes up with the same thing that could be bothering them: a bad relationship, unsuccessful marriage, anything, like a bad job that they hate going to, like anything like that. So
Yep.
Aaron's next day is always going to be better, you know what I mean? And that's the way I think too. So it's cool to see that. I remember one thing, I'll preface it and lead into it. Aaron has a movie out. What's the name of the movie where you walk across Death Valley and you explain where your sister painted your toenails and things like that?
That's called Coming to My Senses.
And so anybody that hasn't checked it out, it's fucking awesome. It's called Coming to My Senses, and is on Netflix, right?
It was on Netflix. It just ran its course. It's now on Amazon and iTunes.
Okay.
It's on EcoBoom.
Even if you got to pay $10 or any price for it, it is so awesome to watch this. And you can watch him walk across Death Valley. He explains a lot of the things that he's gone through in his life. And we were talking about the support mechanism. One of the things that he had that was so awesome that I've never seen somebody coordinate themselves this way is, can you explain a little bit about your sister painting your toenails and what that did for your mindset? Because that's so sweet.
Yeah, that was a part of my rebuilding process, redefining myself. I used visualization, as an athlete, as a racer. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Absolutely.
You sit on the starting line. You can imagine perfect laps and technique and an outcome, winning. I started to instinctively apply that to my body. The way I thought about how my mind or my brain controls my limbs with electrical signals, electrochemical impulses. And my sister came in and thought she was going to cheer me up one day. in the hospital. She brought her nail polish in, a bunch of rainbow colored nail polish, and she sat on the bed and uncovered my feet and just started painting my toes against my will. And she's like, if you can kick me, then I'll stop.
And she painted them different colors, you said, right?
Yeah, my left big toe was blue, my right red and green and yellow and purple and all these colors. Look like Skittles.
Imagine the visualizations that you could do with those colors and stuff, though, Case. Like being able to see that.
But that's the thing,
right.
yeah. I'm laying there and I'm staring at my feet, at these colorful toes, and I would close my eyes and start to imagine that color moving up my leg, like blue. My whole left leg became blue, and going up my spinal cord through. This is the site. I mean, that's the only spot that has a problem. It's just an interrupted signal. It's like kinking a garden hose.
Yep.
And my right leg was red, my left arm was green and blue, and yellow, and so on. And so I would just swirl all these colors through my body, connecting my mind to the different muscles with light and with color. And it was my left blue toe that twitched first. I wiggled voluntarily that left blue toe. And that's something that I just would meditate on, I would focus on, I would spend countless hours connecting my mind to colorful limbs.
That's crazy. Like,
So
see, when you talk about mindset, like that is like next level. Like that is so cool to hear that. And for anybody that needs any type of motivation or any, like, that's literally like rerouting the electricity in your body. And the stuff that Aaron heard in the hospital was, I'm sure, you're never going to walk again. You're going to be in a wheelchair. You probably won't be able to move your arms. You probably won't be able to move your legs, like things like that.
Right.
And he did this.
Right.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome, Aaron. I won't dig into it, but I'll say I'm a spiritual, faithful guy, and man, your sister did that on accident, or not on accident. Nothing's on accident in my mind, but that was the catalyst to this fire, right? I mean, who would have thought that? I would imagine you have this relationship with your sister when you're kids, and I can imagine if I'm 14, 15, 18, I'm like, get away from me with this pain on my. And what a blessing that turned into. I'm sure you've thought of that a jillion times.
Absolutely, 100%. She's been an angel, but she's gone through her own stuff, and we just kind of, I think, help each other through it.
That's awesome.
But she did something special for me that day, and what that actually is scientifically is neuroplasticity. That's the body's way of rerouting or rewiring the central nervous system. So that was a instinctive reaction to her good times.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah,
I haven't done it like with painting my nails, but I've tried a bunch of different stuff to help myself too.
Sure.
I just love hearing stories like that. Well, maybe we can fast forward a little bit and talk about some of the accolades that you have. Before we talk about that, though, can you do you mind telling people how much function you have in your body? Because I'd like to set the stage on you riding across the country and walking across Death Valley.
Yeah, so, I mean, the prognosis was that I was a C456 complete quadriplegic, paralyzed from the neck down.
Which means that most people in the situation are just dead from the neck down. They can't move their shoulders. They can't move anything, and he's obviously different.
And so from one little flicker at a time, the left toe to muscle groups to, moving and twitching, I use a chair, a wheelchair, like probably 50% of the time now. I mean, I'm 20 years after this injury, post-injury, and I'm just trying to manage my time, energy, and risk because I can,
Look how sweet that is, dude.
That's awesome.
I mean, I can walk out of here. I use a cane. I walk all around my house. I've got a 2-story house. Walk in restaurants and whatever. But the chair is just peace of mind for me now. I can get to the bathroom fast when I need to. I don't have to worry about tripping and falling. I don't walk fast. I walk pretty slow.
Some of the stuff
and it takes a ton of concentration.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of concentration and a ton of energy. So that's where I've made peace with the chair, and it's just a tool for me to to get around quicker.
I love that, though. It's just a tool for him.
Perfect.
And like some of the stuff that like he just showed us that he stood up, right? But he's gone to like buildings in Chicago where he's walked up, like, let's just say 50 flights of stairs. Whether it takes him 10 hours to whatever it is, he's done it. Like,
that's awesome.
This, I'm telling you, the stuff that he does on a weekly basis, like, is mind-boggling. Even for a normal able-bodied person, it's crazy.
One battle at a time.
Yeah, I'm still a little tired. I'm a little stiff and sore from the stair climb. We were in Chicago a couple weeks ago. I climbed the Sears Tower.
Dude.
Stairwell.
Awesome.
Like, and he acts like it's no big deal. Like, that's crazy, dude. So there you go with the mindset again, dude. And that's why I'm telling you, like, he makes you want to be a better person. Well, let's backdate ourselves a little bit. And so you have those injuries, but you are able to start moving your arms and hands and legs a little bit, right?
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, flickers of movement. The first thing I did was I was able to barely get my arms around my dad for Father's Day and give him a hug.
Yes.
That was a big deal. Standing up in 4 feet of water, being able to stand. And then, the whole process of relearning how to move is very extensive. I mean, you have to become a student of your body.
Yep.
These things don't just happen. You have to really willfully engage it.
And you have to push
happen.
through it too. You have to push through pain. You have to push through all these different things. Like stuff like that he's talking about doesn't come overnight. So let's just say something happened 2 years later. Like that thing didn't move for 2 years. Like it's gonna hurt like a son of a gun. So it's a huge deal for him to say that. Like he talks so humbly about it. Like he's a true badass, man. So let's fast forward a little bit. When you started getting more of these things happening and your body was, let's just say, coming back a little bit, for lack of a better term, and you're remapping certain things, what was the motivation to start doing more and to maybe start doing like some of these huge things that you had in your head, like bicycling across the country or walking across Death Valley?
I mean, shit, if I could move a little bit, I wanted to move a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's my mindset. Like I started pedaling a bicycle in therapy. They would hook up electrodes to me, and I would watch my legs in the mirror. I'd pedal and spend hours in the gym. I was like, man, I want to ride. Like, I want to be out. I want to feel it. And so that's basically the mindset. And so I saw a tandem bicycle. Never seen a tandem bicycle before, and I just somehow, again, instinctively knew that was going to be a way for me to ride on the back. And my mom, being the rider that she was,
she rips.
She rode the front. She does rip.
She was ripping.
That's sweet. So she took you for some rides? That's how you started working on it?
Yeah, she jumped on the front. We duct taped my hands and feet to the pedals.
Dude.
And I rode for about 5 minutes at first, and then 5 miles, 10 miles. We did an LA marathon, 26.2. And like 3 years later, I got strong enough to pedal across the country.
Which route did you take? Did you go across it like I-10 down?
The first tour was the southern tier of the United States. So from Dog Beach, San Diego, right down through your hood, through Arizona, New Mexico, the southern tier, all the way to San Augustine, Florida, 3,182 miles.
Can you imagine that, Case?
I'm still stuck on it's so awesome. Everything is so awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny the things that you grasp. Like me, I'm like, dude, this guy is so gritty.
Yeah.
Like he thought, I'm going to ride a bike. I don't even care about how I do it.
Yeah.
Let's get the duct tape out. Like I love that. That's great.
Everybody has a joke about duct tape.
So gritty.
That's really gritty.
I mean, it just shows you how focused it was on I'm riding, period. I don't care about the rest. I'm riding. Well, we got to do the hands. Okay, get the duct tape out. It's great. I love it.
We were talking about this the other day too, and do you clip in with your feet and stuff? Because that's the only way that I can actually ride a bicycle. My mom said that she saw just an able-bodied girl not being able to get her foot out of the clip, like riding down the street, and I don't know if she fell over or whatever, but I was like, well, it's the exact opposite for me. Like, I have to make sure my feet don't fall out, so I crank the shit out of those things,
Right.
and then when I need to get off, I'll use my hand, or like I'll crank it out,
Right.
because there's no, and he used duct tape, so I don't know, what do you use for your feet?
I started with duct tape, then I went to cages, and then I always ride with clips.
Yeah, so you just clip
Zero
them in
float clips.
Yeah, so super tight.
Yeah. Totally.
Man, can you imagine riding a bicycle? Oh, how did you do it? Did you take breaks and stuff, stay at the, and then go like on your next journey, like each state?
I set it up just like a race team. I knew I needed a motorhome because I needed to have that kind of that base of like a home base with all my food and a good place to rest and bathroom and shower and all that. So actually it was Harley Davidson's old executive rig.
Sweet.
We got that thing. Towed a van. Or actually on the first tour it was my Jeep Cherokee. And just had a team of friends with me, cameraman, and we would just ride 30 to 60 miles every day.
So there's where
random spots.
There's where the whole dirt life thing comes back into his life again. He set it up like what he thought a race was, like what he knew, just like what you're saying. Like you knew how to do certain things, and now they qualify in real life in your job or whatever it is. Like he did the exact same thing, man. That's so cool that your mind never forgets those things, and it comes full circle to help you again in something that's not even on the dirt. It's on pavement, but it's bitching. Like it's a huge task.
No, I apply so many fundamental principles from dirt life to everyday life, business, relationships, like it all like it's a foundation of, I don't know, information or understanding that works everywhere.
It really is.
Like my education on a dirt bike is so valuable to me.
It really is. And we're going to talk about some more stuff, but it really is valuable in everything that you do. And we'll talk about some of the stuff that you did in Death Valley and stuff, but you just mentioned in your relationships and things like that. You have a fantastic family. You have a great wife. Before you were thinking about getting into walking across Death Valley, what did your family think of that? Like, how did you discuss it with them, and what was tell us about the family stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a big gap between the first tandem bicycle tour in 2007 to walking across the desert. I ended up making it to Florida and then deciding I wanted to do it again on my own bike. And I built a special made 3-wheeled bike where I rode again from San Francisco, 4,202 miles
Holy shit.
to Washington, D.C.
Awesome.
So I did that tour twice.
That's
And then
badass.
after that,
Was it on
the
Strava?
Paralympic program.
Just kidding.
What's that?
Was it on Strava? I'm just kidding. Strava or it didn't happen
then I
these
started
days.
Yeah, that wasn't around. And then I started racing for the Paralympic program. United States Paralympic Committee called me and asked if I wanted to race that trike. I said, hell yeah.
Of course.
That's my background.
Dude, sweet.
And so I started training like intensely for about 3.5 years with the intention of making it to London for the Olympic Games. And I won a national championship, DNF'd a couple of times. And then 2 days before I was to get on a plane to go to London, I got a bladder infection. I got sick
Oh, man.
and went to the hospital. And I sent my coaches a selfie from the hospital saying, "That's it, fellas. I'm not going to make it." So that's where my mindset shifted away from the bicycle and away from cycling. And the conversation I had with the family about a new goal, and the light bulb went off one day when I was in the grocery store with my wife. I was pushing a shopping cart, and I was walking pretty well, pushing that shopping cart. And I'm like, babe, I need to just keep pushing this thing. So I pushed it across the parking lot, and I'm like, shit, I need a lot further than this. And that's where we've seen those pictures of those rocks out in the desert where they look like a snail.
Yep.
They leave like a trail behind them. They just look strange. I'm like, that's me, man. Like, I'm going to go out to Death Valley. I'm going to go to that place. I'm going to walk as long and far as I possibly can. And so that's where the whole concept for walking across Death Valley came from.
And that concept is not
And the
just
family
something.
took me.
So crazy.
That concept is not something that you come up with. So when we were talking about the new normal, like that new normal for him is having an open mind. So one thing that I saw that's been with me ever since I got hurt is a guy named William Blake said, if the eyes of perception were clear, everything would be as it really is, infinite. So if you have an open mind, you can see anything. And that's exactly what he did.
Right.
I just think that's so crazy, and I relate directly to it because every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, dude, this shopping cart helps so much. So let's fast forward a little bit. What'd your family think of when you were like, were they like, you're crazy?
How did we go from a shopping
No, they know who I am. They have trust and faith in my process. I don't just throw myself into the fire, you know. I'm not too reckless. I try to calculate my risk. So there was a lot of pre-planning, logistics. I did a bunch of research and made sure that my route was good and that I had an out. That's why I actually took somebody with me, and the guy I took actually happened to be a great filmmaker and photographer, and so he basically just let me do my thing, and he was in and around pointing a camera at me.
That's awesome.
And I researched a baby stroller on eBay. I bought a jogging stroller, a giant mountain bike jogging stroller with disc brakes and Maxxis off-road tires, and I put a solar panel on it, carried all my own food and water, and in one umbrella.
You got to watch this movie, dude.
I can't wait.
It's
I'm
badass.
seriously,
And it's not without like adversity though. Like he ate shit and like he had problems. Like there was a bunch of stuff. Like he'd wake up in the morning and be like, dude, like I can't go anymore. And he'd just get up and start going again. Like I don't know how he did it. Like some of the stuff looked like defeating.
Right. So
and he didn't let it.
So Aaron, let me jump in here for a sec. So I feel like there's a difference between a prepper and a planner, and I'm hearing both pretty hardcore in what you're telling me. How do you feel like that? Because I think with moto, that dirt life that we all knew, it was all about prep, I think.
Right.
I mean, you could plan everything, right? But the best you could do is visualize what's going to happen in a moto, right? Or a championship or whatever. But you prepped for it, and you did all the things. You took every reason away that could hurt you, mechanical, etc. But then there's a whole nother aspect to this with the planning, because you have to stop a certain time, you have to have food and water, like you said. I mean, am I going somewhere with that, or is that how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's especially important for my situation because I have a lot of complications in general, and so if I'm going to put myself out in an environment that is very hostile, I've got to be able to just survive. So it came down to really being methodical with the process. Again, being able to visualize success. But really, I'm going into the unknown. I don't know what I don't know. And the only way to go is to be confident in my abilities, in my preparation. I'm about as good as I could be for the situation. And then just be prepared to step off the edge. You've got to take that first step. And then that's all I did was I took one step and a second step and literally tens of thousands of steps stacked on top of each other culminated in success.
Yeah, and you're right though. It's because
so awesome.
He had to plan for heat. He had to plan for cold. He had to plan like everything, and all in a little cart. So he had to everything had to be planned out. How long did it take you to go across?
even down to the food that I took was very specific. I took a special made food called pemmican. It's what the old Western wagon trainers used to eat.
Right, and it won't
It's an
spoil,
Indian
right?
food.
And it won't spoil, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's made out of a beef. It's basically like a dried beef or a beef jerky that you grind up.
Right.
You add tallow or rendered fat back to it, and you add goji berries, spirulina, bee pollen, like these really high vibing foods. You add it all into this thing, and you create like a beef jerky ball, and it doesn't spoil.
That's crazy.
And I would eat one of these.
This is amazing.
I would eat one of these balls every hour, and it was insane food. It was race gas.
Dang, that's cool. How long did it take you to get across Death Valley? How many miles was it too?
A week. I mean, it was just about 20 miles, but for me, 20 miles through that type of terrain in that kind of weather. I mean, it was so hot and very exposed.
Dude, even for an able-bodied person, that's nuts. Like, nobody wants to walk across Death Valley.
No, people overheat their car and have a heat stroke.
Yeah, exactly.
In that area. It's amazing.
Dude, you're a badass, man. Just 24/7 badass.
Takes one to know one, bro.
I appreciate you saying that, but still, man, I have a lot to live up to if I'm going to be anywhere near you. Well, let's fast forward a little bit more then. So you did that, you had that accomplishment, and you've done some pretty significant things in business and in your, we'll call it, professional career. One of the main things that you've talked to me about, because we're like-minded, is spinal cord research and things like that. You started I don't know what you want to call it, but a rehab center called CORE, and you started helping people, and you've escalated that now into being on the board of directors of Red Bull Wings for Life, which is a spinal cord advocate agency or whatever you want to call it. Maybe you could expand on that.
Yeah, in 2011, my mom and I mean, for a lot of years, we recognized there was a massive gap, a big need in the realm of spinal cord injury rehab. What happens when you're discharged from traditional insurance-subsidized rehabilitation? You're basically left to ask and answer your own questions. There's nowhere to really go, at least back then. And so she and I put all of our eggs in a basket and opened a facility we called CORE, the Center of Restorative Exercise. We had a partner who was my original exercise physiologist. He's the one that basically mentored me and educated me on my body, kinesiology and exercise science. And we worked that business all the way up until this last July, where my mom and I sold it. We sold it to our partner, and we're on to new things. And one of the new things is my real deep involvement with Wings for Life, which is Red Bull's charity of choice, with the sole purpose of finding a cure for spinal cord injury. We fund world-class scientific research around the globe with this mission to discover solutions to all the complications and liberate people from these chairs.
Dude, I love that. That is so cool. And for anybody that thinks like this, Red Bull has unlimited funds and that this is some easy thing that's going to be cured, it's not. Like, the amount of knowledge and everything that needs to go into this, like, it's like curing cancer. You need to really focus on it. And any type of things that, like, we have some things that we would like to do to be able to get money to donate to the foundation and just different things like that. So if anybody ever wants to talk to Aaron, they can contact him through us or on social media. We'll give out his social media stuff before he signs off. But if anybody has any information or wants any information on Red Bull Wings for Life, we would love to give it to them.
Yeah, the coolest thing about Wings for Life is that Red Bull covers all the operational costs. So every single dollar raised goes directly to these projects, and that's guaranteed. And moreover, every single dollar that's raised, Red Bull matches 2x. So if it's $1 million, it's actually $3 million.
That's amazing.
That is,
and that's
so
unheard
cool.
of in the realm. That's unheard of in the realm of nonprofits.
Absolutely is.
I think that's so cool, though, because I was thinking the other day, like, I have a couple little things that I would like to do and get donated. So, like, even if we raise $1,000, $3,000, that's a good chunk of change for one person to raise. I mean,
yeah, it is.
So I would love to be able to do some more stuff like that. So like I said, if anybody out there has any, want or need to be able to help spinal cord injuries patients or family members or anything like that, like definitely hit up Red Bull Wings for Life, or you can hit up us or Aaron too. What's some of the stuff that Red Bull Wings for Life does? As you talked about the world run and different things like that.
Yeah, we do events all year long. We had a really successful year this year with the Wings for Life World Run, which is a unique format running event where people all over the world will begin running, walking, or rolling together in their time zones. So in California, it's 4 a.m. Florida, it's 11 a.m. In Europe, 1 p.m., so on and so forth. And we all run simultaneously to benefit spinal cord injury. It's pretty extraordinary. This year, or 2020, it's going to be May 3rd. We have flagship runs all around the world, but then we also do app runs. So you can just sign up on your phone, and instead of running towards a finish line, the finish line follows you. So everybody starts, and then 30 minutes later, a catcher vehicle, usually driven by like some celebrity athlete, like David Coulthard, the Formula One racer, or Lindsey Vonn, or whomever. But the catcher car slowly chases everybody and starts picking you off one at a time. So slowest runners get caught first. Last person to get caught is the winner.
That's pretty cool, though.
That's cool. It's a cool concept.
Yeah,
it's an amazing format. So that, again, May 3rd, 2020. And we have Wings for Life Golf Classics. We've got other one-off events. We had a scavenger hunt last year. But, in Red Bull fashion, we do some really out-of-the-box stuff.
Before we get into asking about like the things that you do on the side with your family, can you tell us a little bit about the HBO movie that just came out with, I don't know how you say his last name, but Paul
Basagoda, yeah.
So do you know
was
who
a
he is,
Red Bull
Casey?
Rampage.
Yeah, he's a Red Bull Rampage guy, the downhill mountain bikes.
Oh, and just got injured a couple years ago this year?
A couple years ago, yeah.
Yes. Okay, I do know.
And he started filming himself, early on in his recovery. And Red Bull Media House at the time decided to shape this into a really magnificent story. And in my opinion, it is the finest filmmaking I've ever seen out of Red Bull. And
I would definitely
they should
not
feel
disagree
really
with that.
proud.
Saying a lot.
It's bitchin'. And what's the movie called again? All of Us?
The film is called Any One of Us.
Any One of Us.
Which implies a spinal cord injury can happen to any one of us at any time for any reason. Bottom line. You don't have to be an extreme athlete. And quite frankly, that, extreme sports only accounts for, 6% of total injuries. What was
the statistic
more often
that they had on the movie? There was just 250,000 or something injuries. What was it?
Every 2 minutes, someone is injured, has a spinal cord injury.
Can you believe that?
So, that's 250,000 new injuries a year. It's, they're big numbers, but they're not big enough to warrant large funding. It's all private funding, and that's why we exist. And we're very fortunate that the sale of the film to Red Bull, all those proceeds go to spinal cord injury research.
Dude, yes.
So we're very, very proud of that.
That is.
So
you gotta
watch
check it out.
It's called Any One of Us. Any One of Us on HBO. It'll be on HBO for the next 10 years.
So I had, I saw it on social media, and I'll actually post it too. But I don't have TV, so I went over to my parents' house and watched it. And that was it was a good idea and a bad idea at the same time, because I was fucking crying the whole time. Dude, it was so emotional for me, but it wasn't because it was emotional like I was hurt. It was like every single one of these people, any of us, like all the people that are on the show, Aaron included, all had similar emotions that I did.
Right.
And I was just like, God, it's so amazing to see it. And I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't crying. I was crying because I was so happy for all these people. And at the end
You're
of
not by yourself all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Is that what you're thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It's just nuts. So definitely check that out and check out his movie too. what do you usually do like with the fam? Like when you're, I know that you're going to show us something super cool in a little bit, but what do you usually do with the fam when you're just hanging out?
Just hanging out. I mean, shoot, I haven't had much time to just hang out lately. This is hanging out at the shop.
Talking shop at the shop.
Yep. I enjoy my time when I get it here. I love to, I'll go over to my mom's place, my sister. I've got 2 nephews that are into the dirt life. They race side-by-sides.
Oh, cool.
My sister married into the O'Neill family.
Mm-hmm.
So O'Neill, motocross gear. So they're racing all the time. I like to go out there and
Are they mad at you because you're always repping Fox?
Yeah, I'm the guy that shows up to family gatherings in Fox.
Everybody's all pissed off. But that's cool. And
I can't help it. They've supported me since '95. So
yeah, they're an awesome company too. So you're lucky to have them support you as well. The things that I was kind of getting into was you don't just have fun. Like you do stuff. His fun is different. You know what I mean? Like some people have fun going to Disneyland. He would have fun going to Disneyland because he would count how many steps he could take. You know what I mean? Right. And his wife would be there right there with him, supporting him.
Right.
Yeah. So to get back to that question of, what do we do for fun and stuff? I mean, nature really. If I go to Disneyland, I'm going there to appease my wife and her sister. They love Disneyland.
That's all.
I prefer the mountains. I prefer going deep into the mountains or out to the ocean. Getting deep nature. Fortunately, my family loved to be outdoors with me. So camping, hiking, biking, that's fun for me. That's where I feel really rejuvenated. And yeah, there's nothing better than that to me.
Well, I think there's something that'll at least match that to you, right? And that's twisting a throttle. And I think you got something that you're been enjoying lately.
Yeah, I've been working on a Harley trike for the last few years. And honestly, when I started this project, I didn't think that with my abilities, my physical abilities, that I'd be able to actually control this big ass machine. But I've just customized it in a way that allows me to ride. And in February this year was the first time I twisted the throttle in 19 years.
Dude, when you posted that video, the smile on your face, I was like, dude, that smile is never going to go away. This is the happiest motherfucker on the planet right here. Like, that's so cool.
Oh, no, I holler. When I'm riding down the road, I'm yelling out like I'm permagrin. I got bugs in my teeth.
top of your lungs. Do you have the ability to show us the trike on your phone?
You got to just bear with me.
Cool, man.
So...
This thing's got big old Hoosiers on the back and everything, Case. Like, you're going to, like, and if you don't mind, like, after you show it to us, let's tell everybody how you twist the throttle and stuff on this thing, too.
Yeah.
That's a pretty nice shop, too. Huh?
Yeah, it is. Looks awesome. Looks like fun.
Oh, yeah, this shop, this is a big shop. It's kind of a private garage.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to show us all the stuff. You can just show us your bike, but... It's pretty cool to see him ride that thing, man. Like
Let me see if I can flip it around.
When I saw him doing it, I was like, holy cow, man. He must just be having like the best time. And I remember when I did it too, like when I first got to twist the throttle. So
nice.
This thing's got ape hangers. It's got huge Hoosiers in the back. And I mean, like when he twists that throttle,
hold on a second.
It really goes
It
too.
puts the power down.
Oh man. So like, I think you would have fun riding it. I would have fun riding it.
Yeah, looks like it.
Like this thing is bitching. Look at that thing, dude. Oh, he's got Mickey Thompson's. I said Hoosiers, but that thing is rad. Look at that.
That's sweet.
That thing is so cool, man. I love that thing, dude.
That's like Roadster meets motorcycle right there.
Yeah, exactly. And how liberating is it when you get to ride that bad boy?
There it it is. Nice.
Dude, look at that thing. Holy cow, man. See, would you like to try to get on that thing and ride it around?
Probably too much horsepower for me.
Yeah, who knows, man. That thing is sweet. I love that thing. How liberating was it to ride that thing when you first rode it?
So, yeah, sorry.
No worries, we can still hear you.
This thing is a hybrid between a 1998 Heritage Softail with an Evolution motor, 88 cubic inches, and a sprint car.
There we go.
That's
So
crazy.
I took
Something
a
was
sprint
there.
car- a sprint car rear end, and I took 2 left rears. And so that's what these Weld Racing sprint car rear wheels are. Mickey Thompson meets. And I've got the fuel cell. Let's see.
Yeah, on the back there, right? On the Stinger.
This part here is the fuel cell of the sprint car.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
Awesome.
So that's where the fuel bladder goes. And then there's a front brake, shifter, rear brake, not the clutch. I've got an automatic clutch, but I also have a clutch pedal. Hold on.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And so I think he can show us too. He has basically like on the like
That's the clutch
Velcro his
pedal.
Oh, on that side. Cool.
Yep. And then Velcro throttle.
Yep. See what I was saying? He just Velcros his hand on there so he can move the throttle.
Nice.
So, like I said before, when we were talking about like what the new normal is, so for me, I didn't have to do anything as drastic as he did with the motorcycle, but I couldn't shift with my foot, so we put a what's a drag race shifter where you hit a button and you can shift up and down. I never ever ended up using the rear brake ever. I just used the front brake when I started riding again, and like with the side-by-side stuff, I couldn't use the clutch good, so I put the clutch on the handlebars. So it's all about what your new normal is and what you can adapt to, and clearly he's adapting super well to his dreams and to that bike, man. It's just really, really cool. How do you feel now that when you ride that thing? Yeah, you're good. How do you feel when you ride that thing now?
There it is. Nice.
Dude.
Fucking love it. What are you talking about? I love it.
Yes. When are you gonna ride that thing some more? You gonna go out this weekend?
I just wrote it.
I was gonna
An
say.
hour ago,
I feel like this is
right
a
before we
daily.
got on with
This is a
it.
daily thing, isn't it? As much as possible.
No, I mean, the shop is like an hour from my house. So if it were closer, I'd be here all the time. But I mean, it's still a work in progress. Like, this thing needs more work. I need to keep tweaking it, making it better, finish it, obviously. There's a Chopper Fest coming up here in Ventura next month, so I'm going to take it there.
Hang out with everybody?
Yeah, but, I try to ride, like, once a week.
That's awesome, dude. I'm sure he would ride more, but so we usually we got to start winding this thing down. We usually ask people how they want to be remembered and stuff like that, but for you it's always easy for me to think like how he wants to be remembered, because he's just doing stuff for people already. He's doing stuff, he's making his own path and things like that, but maybe I'm wrong. How do you want to be remembered?
It's just for being a good guy, a good friend, humble and grateful. It's like an ellipsis, dot, dot, dot. My story isn't over. I keep enjoying the ride. So ride with me.
Hell yeah.
So
I definitely want to go ride.
So maybe that's a cliffhanger. What's the next chapter?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Say that again?
I said, so that's a cliffhanger. What's the next chapter?
What's the next chapter? Write a book. I need to write.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and shit, what am I doing next? Some more stair climbs. I want to climb the Empire State Building.
Woo-wee.
Nice.
In 2 weeks, I'll be in a special place. I'm going to go up to White Mountain. White Mountain is a very special place in the world. It's home of the bristlecone pine trees.
Mm-hmm.
They are the oldest living thing on the planet.
Really?
There's a tree called Methuselah. This tree is 5,200 years old, older than the pyramids.
Holy cow! Have you heard about that?
Mm-mm.
Me
Have
neither.
to look it up.
The cells of these trees don't degrade. Basically, it's the tree of life. Like, the cells never die. And so this tree could, in theory, live forever. So I'm going to go ride my mountain bike up there and go spend some time with these trees.
His mountain bike's bitching too, by the way. It's like a 3-wheel mountain bike. It's so cool, dude. Well, obviously, thank you very much for coming on the show. Like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and want to be a better person. Just motivates me so much. Can you please tell everybody how to get in touch with you, what the easiest way to get in touch with you is, and then if they have any questions they want to ask you?
Yeah, 818-424-2279.
Perfect.
I'm Aaron Baker is my handle on social. I'm AaronBaker.com is a website. You can find me on Wings for Life, Shield Healthcare, Permobile. These are just a couple of companies that I work with. Artists for Trauma is another nonprofit that I'm proud of. But through you, George, like social media,
Yep.
I appreciate you guys inviting me on tonight. So reach out to me anytime.
Absolutely. Well, we've already put some posts out with your info in there, so you can always go to the dirtlifeshow.com or go to the Dirt Life Show's social media pages and check it out. We're also going to have this video archived, so you guys can check it out anytime. Myself, Aaron, everybody will be. I'm going to try to share it to a bunch of spinal cord injury groups as well on Facebook and Instagram, and I really want to get the word out there that he's doing all this great stuff with Red Bull Wings for Life. And obviously anybody that needs any motivation after an injury, whether it be a spinal cord injury or just even a broken arm, man, he is just above and beyond. So It's really cool to see you doing all this stuff, Aaron. We appreciate you taking the time with us, dude.
My pleasure, fellas. Power of the mind.
Absolutely.
Do anything
Mindset is everything.
That's right, guys.
All right, brother. Well, have fun working on your bike. And again, thank you very much for taking the time with us, and I'll catch up with you soon.
My pleasure.
All right, brother. We'll
Talk
see you
soon. Enjoy the holidays.
Thank
Same
you.
to you.
You
Take
too.
care.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Holy cow, man. Like, I literally just got goosebumps. I don't even know what to say about some of these conversations that we've had on the Dirt Life. Like, if the Dirt Life was to end tomorrow, I would still be happy. Because some of these things are like literally life changers for anybody, especially someone like me.
Right.
Like, it's just so cool to see that. Like,
well, anybody gets stuck in a rut, right? You get stuck in a rut at work and whatever, and all of a sudden you're like, this guy was pushing a cart through the supermarket, and he's like, hey, I got to keep pushing it.
I'm just going to go to Death Valley.
Hey, let's go to Death Valley.
So you remember when you said at the beginning of the show, like,
amazing.
Sometimes you don't think it all the way through. Sometimes
Right.
you just go for it. He's the same way.
Right.
You know, like when we asked him, how does he want to be remembered? He's like, I just want to go to the White Mountain in 2 weeks,
the next
bro.
thing, right? That's why I think, like I said, he's definitely a prepper. He preps he's figured this out, but then he's preparing for it.
Yeah.
More than I think maybe putting all the milestones in, like we said.
Yeah, exactly. I need to probably loosen up a little bit and get like that, because it gives him such a good mindset to be able to do it. And when he said that he was, I don't remember the word he used, but he was basically naive. He didn't really know what he didn't know.
Sure.
That's exactly how I was when I started riding a bicycle. It's exactly how I was with the Ironman. Like, I had no freaking clue what I was going to do. Like, I literally had no clue. I didn't know how to swim. I didn't know anything. And I didn't even realize what the actual duration or distance was. I just knew the word Ironman, and I wanted to go do it because somebody told me I couldn't.
Right.
So it's like, all right, F you, I'm going to go try it. And it's just so cool to see that, man. Now it makes me want to, I don't know if 4,000 miles across the country, but
it sounds pretty amazing.
It would be cool to experience those things. Like, you know, when I just said that I'm going to wake up happier tomorrow, if I did something like that, or even the accomplishment of doing the Ironman, I could not wake up tomorrow and still be happy. So I can only imagine the sense of self-accomplishment that he has for doing all that great stuff, you know? Like, it really just gives you so much drive to want to do. Like, do you want to go to work tomorrow? You know, no, you want to go like ride. Like, you're like, shoot, I did 50 miles this weekend. Now I got to go do 4,000.
That's nothing. We got to do 10,000.
Like, how the heck are you going to do that? Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate it. I know this show dragged on a little bit longer, but Aaron has so much already lived in his life. Like, it's 10 lifetimes for most people. Right. So I'm glad that we got to take the time with him. I'm glad that we got to hear his story. I hope it really motivated everybody. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you very much. I hope you got as much enjoyment out of it as we did. Thank you very much, Fuel Wheels. Thank you, Solderweld. Thank you, Zollinger Racing Products. Thank you, Rigid Industries. And thank you, Shock Therapy. We're going to have a cool Shock Therapy live show party in 2 weeks. We'll start promoting that tomorrow. We're going to come out with a little flyer. We'll get the Shock Therapy guys to promote it. So all you guys in Phoenix or Tucson, let's drive up there on Friday. We'll all hang out. We'll have a good time up there. It's going to be really, really cool. Next week's show, we have the Baja 1000 winner. Her name is Kristen Matlock. And yes, I did say her. She won the normally aspirated production 1000 or pro UTV normally aspirated class in the Baja 1000. She Ironmanned the whole thing. Iron Woman, the whole thing.
Nice.
That means she drove the whole 1,000 miles in the driver's seat without stopping or getting out of the car in the roughest terrain. Well, I don't want to say in the world because that's pretty, but basically, like.
Can't wait to hear about the mental side of that. Because 1,000 miles by yourself.
Put it this way. Most of the time we go to the hospital to get an IV. She has it ready for when she gets out of the car. Like, that's how gnarly she is.
Wow.
So, talk about motivation, right? Yep. Like, she's willing to put her body to the test to go win this race, and she did it. Mm-hmm. So I cannot wait to talk to her, get some of the mindset from her, just get some of the cool stuff. Obviously, I'm super jealous because they ate so many tacos. So they got to spend a lot of time down there. It was an awesome race. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We cannot wait till next week. We cannot wait to talk to you guys again in 2 weeks at the Shock Therapy Show. Thanks, Case. Thanks for coming in, dude. I really appreciate it. You did an awesome job tonight.
Always a good time.
Well, we'll sign out, dude. Thank you very much.
See
God bless.
everybody.
We love you.
Take care.
You've been listening to The Dirt Life Show with George Hamill and Cody Sanders. No desert tortoises were harmed during the production of this episode. However, a cat threw up and somebody shot a duck.